I wish
So,
to wish everybody a good morning.
Morning, ma'am.
I've
Morning,
been seeing
ma'am.
everybody and listening to all, and thank you, Sanjeeva sir, for making this all happen in the sense that we know now how will be the sequence. So, like sir said, I will be starting the session, sir, in another 2 minutes with your permission.
yeah.
Yeah. And then hand over the session to Dubey sir to take it forward, and then the panelists can come one by one. Great.
Sure. So, Rupali, ma'am, I am going to use 3 to 4 slides. I hope that's okay. I'll share my screen.
That's not an issue, sir.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
Thank you.
fine.
So I think we all the panelists are allowed to share the screen that or
Uh, I'll just check that. That's
just
what
check.
I'm.
Otherwise, just make Mr. Mehra and then Ashok ji and Charles. Would you like to also share some PPT or anything?
No, no, sir.
Okay.
Oh, I'll try one slider only. If required, then
Okay.
we'll make
So
it.
maybe we can make
I
co-host or we can during that time
Yeah,
whoever is have the control. Okay.
we'll
In
be.
I'll
case
be sharing a couple of slides because I'll try to correlate this with projectile motion in physics.
very good.
So for that I need to do some visualization so that it helps them get the clarity of
I totally agree with you. So this is being recorded just for the for the for the audience, but
promotional
obviously
purpose.
we will be using it more for the students to go revisit it, and in case they want to collect some pearls of wisdom.
I guess we should start. It's already 10.
Yeah, I was just looking at my clock. So yeah, it's already 10:15.
Yeah.
And Sanjeeva sir, if you allow me, should I begin?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. So, good morning to everybody, and welcome to today's panel discussion on Industry 4.0. I'm Rupali Singh, working as Senior Manager for International Business Program and also a member of Center for Corporate Relations at BIMTech. Nearly 200 years ago, the Industrial Revolution began in Great Britain and changed the course of humankind. With the advent of mechanization, we saw a boom in production, manufacturing, and transportation. As industries flourished, the business grew, and this created a demand for skilled professionals to run those businesses efficiently. We are currently witnessing the fourth industrial revolution or Industry 4.0, where technology is the primary driver. The McKinsey Global Institute identifies the fourth industrial revolution as the age of cyber physical systems, systems that integrate computation, networking, and physical processes, sustainability, and include a myriad of technologies that span mobile devices, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotics, cybersecurity, and 3D printing. BIMTech, like other MBA courses, have a techno-managerial content, a curriculum that integrates theory and applied skills that prepare the students for Industry 4.0. With this backdrop, I now take the opportunity to introduce our esteemed panelists in alphabetical order to deliberate on it further and share the skill sets required by our students for the Industry 4.0. So I start with introducing Mr. Amanpreet Singh, who is the founder of F13 Technologies. He's a computer science engineer by profession and has worked in Apple India ecosystem, specifically Apple in education. He was awarded as Indian Achievers Young Entrepreneur Award 2019 by the Ambassador of Argentina. He has also been nominated as Top 50 Tech Visionary across the globe by Intercon Awards. participated in 75 plus national and international conferences on various global agenda and UN SDGs. He has been involved in industry academia interactions on the various strategies to transform post pandemic into opportunities with prestigious institutions like Symbiosis International University, LPU, VIT University, and many others. We welcome you to BIMTech once again, Amanpreet ji.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Singh. And I'd like to congratulate the entire administrative and teaching faculty staff, non-teaching staff, students, and my co-panelists for pulling off and planning such a great event with Finis. So thank you so much once again for inviting me to this event. Thank you.
Sure.
My only comment about Aman is that how could you pack those 100 years of achievement in such a young age? Yeah.
Sir, I believe life is, no brief candle to me. It's like a splendid torch which have a hold for the moment. So I want to spread its brightness as far as I can. So I got it with this brightness. So I want to spread it more and more before handing it over. So I guess 100 years is too less for that.
Well, very welcome.
Wow.
Okay.
Very well said. Okay, so now we move on to the second panelist, Mr. Ashok Kumar Sangwan. He is the head cost of delivery at Wipro Limited. He has a dynamic 20 years of rich experience in the IT service industry, cutting across different industries with a different line of business. He has also worked with IGI Airport as head of IT operations and has also managed IT operations of many banking, financial, insurance, manufacturing, and other multiple sectors. He was also a part of the Campus to Business initiative, which was launched as a social cause to bridge the gap between industry and academia. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Rupali ma'am, for the opportunity, and it's a very good initiative from college point of view. Very good panels we are having today, and we can talk a lot in terms of the new era point of view.
Thank you so much, sir. I, in fact, take this opportunity to thank my PlaceCom students who have been on the forefront and who made this happen today. Thank you, students. Now we move on to Mr. Charles Godwin, an HR leader at Zoho Corporation. He is also a motivational speaker and got his expertise in talent management and development, predominantly in the IT sector. Prior to his service at Zoho, he also worked for Hexaware Technologies and Polaris Consulting and Services. Mr. Charles always finds interest in training and motivating students to accomplish their passion and reach their goals. His thoughts can enable students to prepare on the right path for their professional life. We welcome you so much to BIMTech, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Most welcome, sir. And we have with us today Mr. Lokesh Mehra, who's heading the Amazon Web Services Academy for South Asia, which entails managing strategic relationships with MHRD, institutional bodies, policy-led engagements, and skill development initiatives, along with aligning universities with Amazon curriculum and certifications. He has had stints with other leading organizations in education and skills at NASSCOM, Oracle, Symantec, Microsoft, Cisco, Intel, and NIIT. By profession, an electronics engineer, MBA, and a postgraduate in marketing and education technology, he has over 28 years of experience in the IT industry covering education, training, sales, marketing, product management, channel development, and CSR. Besides editing 3 books, he has also authored several articles published in leading newspapers and magazines. We are so much happy to welcome you to BIMTech, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And it's a pleasure to be back in my alma mater. I am also a BIMTech alumni.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I'm so sorry I couldn't mention that. So which batch was that, Mr. Mehra?
94. I graduated in 94.
From a Delhi
BIMTech.
campus?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
He is our regular. He keeps visiting us, and I don't know how you missed out, Rupali. You are
I,
also
yeah, I'm
almost
also
20
here
years.
for the last 10 years. I'm sorry, I should be more aware. Thank you, Mr. Mehra. And now I move on and take this opportunity to welcome our moderator for today's session, Professor Sanjeeva Shankar Dubey. He is the area head of IT at BIMTech. Mr. Dubey is a practicing academician with 35 years of industry experience in IT services in leading world class organizations such as IBM and Tata Group. He has published 12 academic books and taught at leading B schools in India. He's an excellent team builder and deep process oriented and well versed in managing large project risk and mitigation strategies. Sir, now I hand over the session to you and you may
Okay.
take it ahead.
So thank you, Rupali ma'am, and thanks to all my panelists. It's a very rich and illustrious panel. When I say rich, I really mean rich. so, so with your knowledge and wisdom, the today's topic, as you know, that Industry 4.0. So for the participants, basically, I'm just representing you in front of the panelists to seek your doubts. And most of our participants are young professionals, students, and they have got two things in their mind. The two questions. One question is about technology, as we keep hearing about the technology is going to be disrupting this, and Industry 4.0 is coming, and a whole lot of technologies. We keep watching anecdotal videos on WhatsApp and news reports. So there is one, will that automation change the entire world in the sense that there will no need for any human job, okay? And the second problem which most of us, especially youngsters, are grappling is, who are still going to come in the job market, is that with all this slowdown, pandemic, lockdown, travel-less economy, touchless economy, what will happen to the jobs, okay? And especially for the MBA students, how to go about doing it. So this is the theme which I'm not, this is a broad theme, and then I will request panelists to take up their own shot at from different perspective. And that is the whole purpose of this kind of rich panel discussion, where everybody brings in their whole different perspective, and then the audience is able to sort of assimilate as a whole. So the sequence would be that I will request Mr. Mehra to start with setting the stage context. And then after that, we will move on to Mr. Ashok, and then later on with Mr. Charles. And finally, I will request Mr. Aman to summarize it. After that, we want to reserve a lot of time for question answer. So participants, you can put your questions in the chat box, and then we'll pick up as we go along. But and then in the time, I don't know whether it is possible, but some of you can speak also at an appropriate time. So with these words, I would I stop here, and I'll reserve some of my interjections as we go along, because I don't want to sound like one of the TV anchors who don't let everybody else speak. So I would rather keep myself reserved. So let's start with Mr. Mehra. So my question to you is that what is happening? Okay, what is the broader picture? Let us tell us the broader picture, and then we will move on to Shokji to understand a little bit more about it.
Thanks, Sanjeev sir. And what I'll do is I have a couple of slides which I thought I'll share with the audience, because then that will give them a better context. So I'll just go ahead and check with you if you can see my screen. Please let me know if you can see the screen, and then,
Yeah, we are seeing the screen.
Perfect. I'll just go into the PowerPoint slideshow mode. So good morning, everybody, and it's a pleasure to be back, at BIMTech. Thank you very much, Sanjeev sir, Rupali ma'am, and also Mr. Chaturvedi, who's our director. So just to start off, I would like to share some data points specifically. So first of all, Rupali ma'am talked about Industry 4.0. I think all the students are aware of the fact that we moved from steam to, electrical to computing, and now to cyber physical, which is Industry 4.0. For your information, the Industry 4.0 term was coined in 2011 in Germany. in a manufacturing white paper which was written. So it's way back. It's not something, which is very new. It's just come into the forefront recently. A lot of people have also indicated that India is not per se, operational in Industry 4.0. But again, let me start with some data sets. 7.6 billion is the population that we have globally, out of which 3.7 are in Asia. Out of that, 50% have internet access, and of that, 24% in India already have access. If you look at what's happening today, the first thing I want to talk about is startups. And Amanpreet and Charles sir are also out here. But just to give you again some insight, in India, as per DIPP, which is the Department of Investment and Promotion, they have indicated that we have somewhere about 28,000 startups currently, which are functional in India. Just to share with you that last year itself, which is 2019, we had about 1,300 startups getting born, which means every 2 to 3 days, you have one startup which is getting born. If I talk about NCR, because all our students are within NCR, the kind of investment which has come up in NCR was to the tune of $15.83 billion. So it's a huge amount, and we already have 3 unicorns based from Delhi. So that's number one. E-commerce, I think all of us use, shopping sites and, also do a lot of B2B transactions like IndiaMart, etc. Again, a data point out here that the volume of business which is going to be expected by 2022 is about 156 billion. So it's a big scenario. Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, who is the IT minister, has talked about Digital India. You should be aware that it is split into 3 verticals, which is infrastructure, administrative governance, and manufacturing. And all of these, including digitization of post offices or the SWANs, statewide area networks, or the other ones, they're getting widespread more and more. So you require more people to manage and operate and sustain these. If you look at technology, technology has become now a horizontal. It is going across the spectrum. Today, even if a rickshawala uses a Paytm or a Google Pay to do some transaction, so you will realize that technology has reached to the hinterland, even to the tune that our rural areas have somewhere about now 38% penetration of smartphones, which is extremely high. Finally, if you come to platforms, I think there would be very few people who have not used a Uber or an Ola or a Swiggy or a Grofers or anybody. So we are trending towards all of those. However, just to indicate what's happened in 2020, so this has been the scenario where we have started off possibly only in 2 months, which we have seen business. But to give you some context, what has happened in 2020, Fortune 500 companies' shelf life has, especially in the top order, has decreased from 60 years to 12 years. Which means if I had a company which was for 60 years consistently moving across, now that shelf life has reduced to only 12 years. Number 2, the value of a skill has reduced to less than 5 years. The attention span of millennials, all of us know, is very, very low. It's barely about 8 seconds vis-a-vis, say, a goldfish, which is 9 seconds. And they're practically on social media. So for us to cater to them, it is very, very critical. You will also see, and I'll talk about it a bit later, that today, unlike the olden times or our generation, where a person used to change about max 4 to 5 jobs in a whole career spanning 40 years, you as MBA students will do a minimum of 12 jobs in a career span. I'm talking about a job changing every 3.5 years. So what is the reflection on this? The first point is that there is an exponential disruption which is happening. And this is, doubling because of change. And why is this happening? Because of the pretext of science and technology. What COVID has done is it has accelerated the entire process. So jobs are disappearing, but within this crisis, there are new opportunities which are coming up which help you reset. So taking that cue, let me share with you what are the kind of jobs that you should ideally look at. So there are 9 technologies in which, you will see more and more jobs coming in. And you may wonder that, why am I talking tech? Because I may be a marketing or an HR or, a systems person. Why am I talking about technologies? Because all these technologies are going to hit you or impact you somehow or the other. The right hand side of the table, the column, talks about what is the current installed base. Again, to give you a data set, there are about 4.3 million professionals in the IT industry today, the IT and the ITS industry. 50% of that works in the enabled services, which are BPO, call centers, backend, all of that. The remaining 50% are in these different technologies. Just to talk about, say, cloud computing, we have barely about 250,000 professionals currently in India, and the demand as per the FICCI NASSCOM report is 973k. So there's a shortfall of about 700k professionals overall just in cloud computing. So you can imagine, if you spread it across all the verticals, what is the kind of span set that you would have to look at in terms of where the job opportunities are. So it's very, very important for you to look at how you can participate in any of these technologies. Besides the technical skills, it is very important for you to also have what are called as CPD skills, and you'll see CPD repeated everywhere. But these are soft skills which you need to be including in your regular skill set that you have. And besides the hard skills, which are the technology side, the soft skills, which are all these. So for example, how do I manage a large scale project? Can I take that learning and take it to another project? And Ashok sir can talk about it, because he's worked in varied projects, like from IGI airport, and now in Wipro. He would have some best learnings that possibly he can share with all the students. But program management, project management, how to communicate with customers becomes very, very critical. I want to talk about how the jobs are changing, and this is very, very critical, because what has happened during our time, there was a consistent mechanism, what is called learn to work. Learn to work is a linear approach. You go to school, you go to college, and then you go to work. So that was a very linear, flat approach. In your time, it is what we call work to learn, because you will, kind of figure out in terms of how do you experiment, how do you arrive at particular conclusions, how do you draw inferences. So the mindset and the learnability is entirely going to change. So for you, it is a sinusoidal kind of wave that is going to happen, and it's an algorithmic disruption is what I can say. Because what is going to happen with AI, the machines can learn on their own, and the AI and ML are going to contribute to about 14 to 15% of the economy. Even when you do a Google search, you should be aware that at the back end, there is an AI algorithm which is going on. So technology is going to disrupt the worker, as well as the workplace. And workplace, you have seen now with COVID, all of us are practically working from home. But the lower cognitive tasks are the ones where the jobs are going to get replaced. So you'll see hybrid models approaching, more down the line. This is a big dhobi list, what you see in terms of how jobs are changing, but I'll just pick up 2 to 3 out from here. First of all, the job, it is no longer a job, it is more role oriented. So you'll see that you'll get into a particular role. Number 2 is, gone are the days when a person says, I have a team of 50 people, 60 people, etc. Now the point is that the individual who is leading the project or leading the team is going to say, I have a team of peers which are working on a particular, deliverable. So it has changed from, doing a danda from the top down to more in terms of consensus and working across your peers. The third thing, what you'll see is, ideally, whenever there was a company, there was a MD, CEO, and the information used to trickle down. Now, when you join a company, the leadership principles are right starting at the bottom. So it's a bottoms-up approach as well as a top-down approach. So a lot is changing in the entire scenario. So you will see that how jobs are consistently changing, and you need to be prepared that today, the human empathy needs to come in along with the machines. I'll give you a simple example. If I go to a bank, the chatbot may typically reject my loan application, but I want to understand how is my loan application being rejected. So I need a human element out there. And that empathy, that judging, that, creativity is going to come from the human side. So jobs are going to change. They're going to alter. They're going to modify. So that is going to be the big difference which is going to be created. But now, how do you prepare for that? Because I am assuming you're going to sleep only for 6 hours per day. Remaining time as students, you need to work on several things. And I have tried to, collate what I learned. So first thing what I will do is you plan your day. That is very, very important. We have students who drift. They're moving along. आज क्या हो रहा है भाई आज ठीक है 2 lecture and 3 lecture and that's all what is happening. But you plan your day as to what you're going to do. And there's some top points which I have written out there. Number 2, it is very, very important for you to read. I think today's generation, while, Daily Hunt and these news sites, etc. are good, but please try and make it a point, even if you read the newspaper, read it on a Sunday, read the editorials. The opinion ads are very, very important from a communication perspective. So you learn what are the pros and cons out there. Number 2, you need to learn a language. And I'm not talking about a software language, but you are a global generation. So if you learn an international language like Japanese, Mandarin, or say French or any one of those, it is very, very critical for you because you are going to be competing with your peers globally rather than a state or a district or, India. You're going to be competing with global people. The third thing what I would like to say is look at doing aspects which are beyond your course curriculum. So can you look at MOOCs which are available now in plenty? So can you do those kind of courses? And also look at developing business analytics. Help your college in terms of figuring out where have the students come from, what is their background, what is their educational, scenario, how much have the parents studied. All those will help build you data sets. And from data sets, you can draw inferences. And finally, my recommendation would be that try and write blogs. If you're not into the technical side, it is very important for you to build applications or to write blogs or to research for your professors. So Sanjeeva sir can give you, a lot of inputs in terms of how you can do research. It is also very important for you to learn about the industry. I think all of you are MBA students, and if I ask right now, you can't answer me back. But do you know who's the India Economic Advisor? So a lot of you may not know it is KV Subramaniam. So you should be aware of that. Do you know who's the IT industry minister in your state, in UP? Or, Ravi Shankar Prasad is the IT minister for India, but who's the IT minister in UP? Because you're based in UP right now. So all that is very, very critical. So I'll just end by, giving some inputs in terms of a couple of lessons that I have learned, and I felt it is very important. Look, money is very critical. All of us want very good jobs, but if that was the way, Tendulkar and Sehwag would have stopped batting, right, say 5 years back before they retired. They had a passion. So you have to mix your passion with your financial need. So that is very, very critical. Number 2, nothing happens as overnight success. Even the Flipkart people, which you would be aware, Sachin and Binny Bansal, everybody thinks Flipkart became an overnight success. That is not what happened. It took them 8 to 10 years to do that. Even Amazon Jeff Bezos was sitting in his office from 92 till 2000 before actually it took off. So there is, a lot of effort which you need to put in. And don't try and reinvent the wheel. There are plenty of people you can take help of or assistance of. Build communities, and Amanpreet is out here and Charles sir is out here. They can give you ideas from a startup ecosystem. How do you build those communities and get more further information? It's good to work hard, but then you need to play hard also. So enjoy what you do. In a whole year, you have basically 52 weekends. So enjoy those weekends, but be humble. However, important or very big man you become, like look at Rahul Dravid, he's still very, very humble. He may have learned about all the accolades, etc. So all that is very, very important. And finally, I like to say that, in your age, it is very important for you to unlearn and relearn, because technology is going to keep on changing. You need to do a lot. So that is very, very critical for you. So success, as per me, is the chances and the choices you do, but with resilience and grit. So thank you very much, Sanjeev sir. I'll now stop sharing and request you to take it forward. So I just wanted to set up the context to let people know where jobs are going, what is going to impact them, and what should they do.
Okay, thanks a lot, Lokeshji, and I will just quote his last line. Success is where chances and what is the other thing you said?
Choices. Choices that you make.
Choices and chances. So very nicely summarized. And if I look back, what he said was a couple of things. There are technology is all permeating. It is going in all the places. He listed out all the technologies which we need to look at. And the most importantly, there is a need for all of us. I mean, the students definitely, but all of us, whichever part of the age or job we are doing it, to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Because the half-life of knowledge, he just now said, is 5 years. Okay, so whatever you have learned will go away. Half of it will go away in next 5 years. So it is very important, very imperative for us to learn it. So we'll come back to you, sir, once again. Let us move on to Ashokji. Ashokji, what do you feel? Which you have been in Wipro for so long and very large corporation in IT implementation. Do you concur with what is going on, or you have some other perspective as well? Over to you, sir.
So, first of all, good morning, everybody. And Sanjeev sir, I gone through Lokesh cover a lot of things which are very important in terms of the future point of view, the students. As Sanjeev sir, you told about I am with Wipro from long time, and yes, definitely I spent tentatively 9 years with Wipro, and in the context of the new technology and emerging technology and what is changing going on across the during COVID and post COVID. That is the more important in terms of the today's scenario. So I'll cover two three critical and important pointer which is linked to the Lokesh explained. First thing, which is purely related to the internet availability across the country, which is tentatively 24%. Lokesh told about it. In terms of the home broadband, if you'll take it, it's only 8% as of now. And if you'll see that the program Digital India, which is started when the new government formed last time, and it's a part of Digital India program. If you'll go through the 15th August PM announcement of covering all 6 lakh villages. Earlier it was part of, I think, tentatively 2.5 lakh villages to be covered under Digital India, the fiber connectivity across the villages. So those kinds of changes happening after COVID, we can say, one first point of things. Second thing, that the technology, digital technology, we are hearing the digital from last 10 years, which is tentatively started in 2011, the industry 4.0 we are talking about. And the topmost you will see, it's a IoT and other emerging technology, machine learning. Lot of students, lot of people are talking about all these aspects nowadays. Okay, yes, it's a true now. And I will link about it with the pandemic, because earlier, before pandemic, there was a clear cut issue, which is adaptation of the technology. People were not ready to accept or adapt the technologies. Now during COVID, people adapted the technology. Yes, there is a change happened across industry and across, you can say, education systems also, across the industry, we'll say. I'll give you one example which is purely related to I was in a webinar with the CIO. A lot of CIO were there, organizations. So earlier CIO I'll link this with another topic which is totally related to the business continuity. Okay, so business continuity was also a critical pointer in terms of the continuity, how you'll continue your business during the disaster or crisis management. But during pandemic, it was a surprise to all. And during discussions, the CIO is talking about that during disaster drills or disaster drill or maybe business continuity drills, they just join the drills as a formality. And I seen that one. If you will see fire drill, lot of people uh, join the drill for a formality only and never participate fully in terms of the fire drill. So same thing it's happened during the pandemic. We were not ready for the surprises across the industry, and it's changed the mindset and change happen across towards the adaptation of the technology. Now people are thinking about to adopt the new technology which we are talking about from last 10 years, the digital and IoT, machine learning, everything, maybe big data and all those kinds of the industry 4 technology we are talking about. So this is the change came across. If you'll see the education systems, yes, all students, college students, school students going with their online classes and all. Earlier there was a hesitation to adopt that one, and yes, technology is supporting a lot in terms of the availability of online classes or online webinars. If we are doing this lot of webinar nowadays, because the technology is supporting us in terms of the telecom as well as the IT technology. So this is all about in terms of the emerging technology, which Lokesh also covered. What types of scope available across in terms of the cloud computing. He was talking about uh, how much scope is available and the shortage of the skills which is required across. Yes, that is true, and the right skill there is a shortage of skills across. Correctly, he said in their discussions. So I'm next time touching about which purely related to the right side, left side, the left side, the location about the digital technology. Right side, he talked about the communication skills, about your project management skills or program management skills, or maybe customer handling skills, you can say. I'll say relationship management with the client handling, and I will add on that one. It's a purely related to, we can say, people management also is important nowadays, because you should have a perfect relationships not only with your colleague, not only with your boss or subordinate. Okay, it's important. It's a three-way relationship, we can say, in terms of the people management. One is you should have a perfect relationship with your colleague, your boss, your subordinate. Plus, you should have a good relationship with the employee of your customers. And third one is a good relationship with the employee of your partners who are working for you. So it's a three-way relationship across in terms of the people management. That is most important in terms of the relationship management, customer handling skills, communication. That is most important, and that is must for the students who are going to join the industry or they are going to start their own business. Okay, that is most important. I'll touch about the industry which talking about the banking, financials, or maybe the airport industry. I spent a lot of time on airport, tentatively 3 years I spent on the airport, and it's a huge 24 by 7 by 365 operations. N number of roles are available, and n number of people are doing a different kind of roles. It could be purely a passenger management, it could be a purely customer handling, or maybe the internal operations of the airport, or maybe purely related to the IT operations. It's starting from the landing, takeoff, parking, fueling, cooling, everything you can say covered, the time management, how you are coordinating with all multiple stakeholder. It's a the baggage handling I will tell you about. It's a 15-second you have to clear one baggage, else there would be a delay in the flight. Okay, and if there is a delay, another flight in queue, and it's a huge business loss, you can say, impact of the business. So the understanding of the business is more important, customer handling is more important. I'll give you in the international hours in the night, if there is a check-in impact or boarding impact for 20 minutes. Nowadays, people are using the Twitter and the other social platform. They will put on the social media, and the next day it would be a big news for across. Okay, and it's may impact you individual also sometime, because you are the owner for that operations. It could be any operations. It's not necessary you are handling IT operations, but it's a purely related to passenger satisfaction point of view. But a passenger individually is not satisfied at the airport premises due to any regions. They can put our on the Twitter, and next day you have to answer. So those kinds of skills to be added, how you can manage the customers, how you can manage the relationship with all stakeholders, how you can manage your 24 by 7 by 365 kind of a role, where the operations you cannot stop anywhere. During pandemic, yes, entire operations got stopped, but I when I spent 2.5 years, yes, it was 24 by 7 by 365, and on holiday, on festival, many times I visited at the airport due to some issues, due to maybe technologies or maybe other kind of things. So along with relationships, you should must take care about the attitude point of view, how you will handle, how you'll have a manage your conflict. Okay, conflict management in terms of, I'm linking conflict management with attitude also. So that is most important, because people, the new comers, that there is a change in last 5 6 years. In the students who are entering in the business or entering in the industry, their expectations are so high. So I'll link one example of expectation with the, for example, you are availing a smart this internet facility from any service provider. Okay, and your internet gone in the evening or late evening at 10 p.m. So what will happen with you? You will not go to bed, and you will try their call center to restore the services. They are not responding you. Then you will drop the mail by using another the internet facility or phone of the family members. Then they are not responding, for example, because you are having a habit to avail the services. Okay, that is a change came in last 5 7 years, or maybe we can say in last 10 years, there is a lot of change happens. So in the morning, what will happen if your service is not restored? You will go to another service provider and switch over your services from Airtel to Vodafone, or maybe Vodafone to Geo. That is the habit of availing the services. When you will start your own business, or you are going to join any industry, you should think about it. In the fashion you are availing the services, you have to deliver the services, because your customer is expecting the same thing, or your client is expecting the services in the same manner. The availability, the uptime is to be 100% and all. That kind of the pointer you have to note down. And Lokesh also rightly said, in terms of the skill enhancement, the 3 year or 5 year, you have to update yourself. That is most important. If you are going to join specifically to IT industry, yes, there is a lot of change happening across, and if you will not upscale yourself, then there is a issue across. So last one, I'll touch about this one, which is purely related to. Sorry, I'll cover two more. Okay, one is purely related to your happiness. Okay, that is also important. So happiness, it's in your hand only. Okay, the all people, that your professors, your teachers, your colleague, your uh, like we people can guide you only, but the happiness in your hand only. And it's having lot of things in terms of It could be, Lokesh explained, the money is one factor. Another could be a role factor. Could be a location. Location could be one aspect. For example, you are having your thought process. You will get an offer from Big Four. Okay, and you got offer from Big Four, but you assumed you are going to join a location as a Bangalore, Pune, or maybe Delhi. But coincidentally, you are so happy to see the offer and all. You are discussing with your family, your friends, everywhere in social media. You are doing so happy. But when you got a joining letter, then you given a location as a Cochin. Okay, then your entire happiness gone, because you everything you assumed, everything you fixed. We four students will go together, will stay there, something blah blah. Okay, so that is a purely assumption point of view, and it's a small location change. It purely change your entire mindset. You may join or may not join the organizations. So it's purely depend on you, how you are linked with your happiness, and it's even purely in your hand, and you keep your professional and personal life separate always. Okay, else there would be a disturbance in your life. Last I will cover, which is purely related to, linked with the pandemic, and it's a purely open. I'm saying many people are not working. It's because I'm looking after a different kind of functional role nowadays, which is purely related to cost management. Okay, and you can imagine what pressure we are having nowadays to maintain the cost. So I'm saying the emergency fund. Okay, financial point of view, the individual emergency fund, that is most important. Second thing, for organizations also, the organization who is cash rich in terms of they are having a reserve cash as a asset, they survived well during this pandemic. And the organization who don't have the cash flow, if there is no top line, no revenue, and there is no cash reserve, definitely they gone from the market. Okay, that is the major impact towards in terms of the financial management. And last point, which is purely related to, if you are going to join any public listed organization, please check their balance sheet and check their asset, in terms of not liability, in terms of the asset reserve, could be cash or maybe immovable assets. That is personal. And start your emergency fund point of view. You can start after completing of the college. When you join any organization or your business, please ensure you have a good cash reserve in terms of survival point of view. It can be emergency fund kind of things, or whatever. If you are doing business, yes, you have a cash reserve, else you cannot survive in the market. So I'm completing. I covered 4 5, which is critical pointer, and hope I given lot of input as per my understanding. The rest, Sanjeeva sir can cover. It's okay or not okay. So thank you all. It's a nice discussions. Yeah.
Thank you, Ashokji. I think it was a very succinctly put in, and from various aspects. And the one which I liked most was about your emergency fund and looking at the balance sheet of the companies who are
Yeah.
going to join. And I can just share that, this Cochin example, which is said that joining of a company and then location being in Cochin might put you off. And personally, it happened to me. I was supposed to join as group CIO in the GMR group 12 years ago.
Oh.
And I thought that the Delhi airport is coming up, so I'll be here in Delhi. I was working in IBM and all that, working online.
Correct.
And the boss said that, no, but you have to work out of Bangalore. You can come every day. So anyway, so that was my priority. I think I had some sufficient economic reserve with me. So I said, let me continue where I am. So guys, this is a very well balanced view Ashokji has given. It comes from a person with a lot of wisdom, and I will not say gray beard or gray hair, but definitely who has gone through various ups and downs and seen the way the industry is going and the way the human life. emerges. So please give him a big round of applause wherever you are. And in the interest of time, I will move to Mr. Charles. So Charles, how do you see this going? You are from the hot seat. The young company doing very well, and then you don't have too much of reserve or baggage. The companies like Yoho, and then you are yet successful. Like living baptism by fire. So just share with us, because many of our students may be interested in doing it. In our emerging technology course, they come and show me in BIMTech, we have got a small IoT lab. We have introduced technology courses. We have just launching online program now. Most of our specialization in technology is going on. So that is for some other time. But many of them are also candidates for these startup organizations. Maybe some of them would like to take up of their own. So what lesson do you think they can take in the current times?
Sure, sir. Thank you. It was so nice, listening to Mr. Lokesh sir and Ashok sir. Very insightful points. And now I would like to share, a few of my experiences, and especially since it's more of a student audience. Number one, which I believe, and in this current scenario where anybody, any employee or a student who are getting into a company, being open-minded in terms of how we see, rather than being setting some expectation, over expectation, and moving on. And in terms of the way the speed of change, or the complex situations which we are facing, and how prepared we are is something very, very important. And in terms of this pandemic situation, I feel, when I look back about 20 years now, for the last 20 years, every industry had this ups and downs. Every 3 to 5 years, for example, IT or manufacturing or hospitality or any industry. And of course, every organization was able to come back. But since it's management students, I would like to share my personal experience. Especially, when I was doing my master's course, I strongly believe that the internships and projects has helped me a lot in terms of identifying where I want to head towards. That's the key point which I wanted to share. Of course, Mr. Lokesh sir highlighted about the internship and project. To get into the depths of that, when I was doing my master's degree for 2 years, I was able to do internship with about 12 different organizations, 12 different industries, IT, service, hospitality, logistics. So this is the place where students will be able to identify their calling. For example, maybe, especially management students, marketing or finance or HR, whichever specialization you have opted right now. Now you have a different flavor of, opportunity, different industries where you can explore, where during your internship and project, it will be easy for you to identify where you can head towards. And that's something very, very important, which I feel wanted to share. And to add on, students can do internship even in an NGO. And even Mr. Lokesh sir highlighted in his presentation. I've been in a prison, central prison in Coimbatore, to do my internship, just to understand human behavior. And especially for management students, I strongly believe, irrespective of organization size, irrespective of industry, irrespective of which organization, company we are participating, it is very, very important to have different flavors, different experience during your initial days, especially during your college times, my dear friends. And key things which I have observed in the industry, when as an organization in Zoho, we have our talents coming in right from the age group of 17. And 17 to 20, we have about 20% of our population who come through our, learning academy. We call it as Zoho Schools of Learning. We hire them, when they are in 12th or from diploma background. And what we believed, as an organization, is whether the talent is learning with with context, being relevant to what exactly industry is looking for, and having an experiential background And that's what industry is looking for. Having whatever the internship and project which I was highlighting, and during my initial days of my journey, that has helped me a lot. And to experience and see how I can implement in my organization and build my career, and being very focused in terms of identifying my passion, my dear friends. And apart from that, I would like to highlight a few important things which as a HR I strongly believe for this applies to any management professional, maybe marketing or finance or whatever technology comes in, whatever changes we see, moving from technology to people-centric is something very, very important, in whatever way we grow as an organization, and how we, continue to give the human touch is something very, very important. Or bringing the human element in our regular routine is something very, very important. Maybe if it is finance or marketing or sales, or even in HR, we have been working from home. In spite of all the challenges, can we create that human touch with our people, with our customer, and so on. And just to give a few more examples, like today we have been working from home, and how we are engaging with employees is very important, where employee engagement is moving towards employee experience, how we have built the culture in an organization. And few important, four important values which I learned in my last few years, which I strongly believe, which is very, very important, irrespective of our position, irrespective of our role, irrespective of wherever we are. Number one, if we are not passionate towards what we are doing, is something, it's very, very difficult to be successful in our career, and being, creating value to the organization as well. And number two, in terms of humility, being humble, irrespective of wherever we are, irrespective of whichever position we are in. And number three, this is something, a very, very important element, which I strongly believe is integrity. For example, we have been working from home, and nobody's watching. I'm not seeing my team. I'm not seeing my leaders around. In spite of all the challenges, am I, I'm giving the best? Am I being true to myself, even if nobody is watching? Right. So that's something very, very important, factor, important value, which I believe in. And number four, respect. Respect is something, it's not just, respecting the senior, respecting the elders, respecting our own self, respecting the opportunity, respecting the, opportunities which we had and which we have in front of us, respecting the situation, respecting the leaders. And I used to remember one of an important lesson which one of my mentor taught me. Now, even if you don't like your boss, you have to respect that particular position. You have to respect the chair. This is what he meant. All right? And these are something which is very, very essential for management students, because we are not going to completely work in technology. Human element will be part of our regular routine. And that's something, which I strongly believe, being passionate towards what we are doing, being humble, humility is the key factor. And third value, which I've highlighted about integrity, being true to ourselves, respect. And these are the four values which I strongly believe. This I have learned from my first company, and till today, whenever I start my work, and this is the reflection which I have. And and just to give one important, tips, to understand whether you are on the right track. If your Monday morning is boring, my dear friends, I think you have to, look back and see, what went wrong. Right? And that's the excitement which every employee should have, every professional should have, and especially, a management student should have, or management professionals should have. And another important lesson which I have learned, I've been in the industry for about 15 plus years now. Whenever I want to take important decision in life, or important decision in my personal or career decisions, my dear friends, it is always nice to connect with our mentors. It is always good to have mentors in life, and that's something very, very important. And irrespective, even if we are 30 years experience or 40 years experience, it's always nice to get different leaders' opinion in terms of whether we are whether our decisions are right or no. Get a different perspective. And finally, an important topic which I wanted to share is technology or social media. And today social media plays a very important role. Now how we handle social media is something which is the key for any professional brand building, and for networking as well. And how careful we are, how we are using our social media in terms of what we write, what we share, what we comment, maybe in Instagram or maybe in Twitter or in Facebook or even in LinkedIn as well. Whichever platform you are, use it wisely. And your brand image is something very important. And there is a saying, a world is very small. And today, in this technology world, in this digital world, definitely, world is very small. Where we can connect with people. For example, if you are taking part in a virtual interview, before even taking your virtual interview, people interview panel will get to know who you are through the social media platform. Now, wherever you are, you might be in even you might be just in Instagram, right? But still, how people connect with, to understand what kind of personality we are. So personal branding is something very important for anybody. It's not just for the outside world, but that's even more important in our organization, important in our workplace as well. And finally, to conclude, my dear friends, now as the earlier speakers mentioned, money is not everything. Title is not everything. What is the value we create is something very important. And life is not a journey, and that's what I believe in. So life is not a race. Life is a journey. This I will conclude and come back for the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Charles Godwin. And no wonder people tell you that you are a great motivational speaker. So I'm sure my participants here would have got a lot of benefit. The point which reverberates in my mind is the word which you said, self-belief and self-discipline. So as we are working of our own, not only I have to have self-belief that I must do it, my passion. Everybody is espousing about the virtue of having a passion. Somebody, Lokesh said that Sehwag and Tendulkar would have stopped working 5 years ago before their end of the career. So money is not enough. But the other thing is very important is self-discipline. Okay. And fortunately or unfortunately, I worked only in 2 companies. And for 17 years each almost, and both of them 100-plus-year-old company. One is from India, Tata Steel, and the other one is IBM, which is another global company. And one of the motto which I picked up in one of their sort of vision statement was trust and responsibility in every interaction. Okay, even if they say that if you have got a interaction with your friend and he has trusted you that you will come and visit him at 6 o'clock. Visit at 6 o'clock, or tell him or her in advance that you are not able to do it. Okay, so these are simple things to trust and responsibility, and there are other things. But in today's talk, in terms of what Charles is talking about, for all of us, because we are all going to work independently, we are not going to be supervised. Somebody is not going to tell us what to do today. So great achievers plan their day, and then plan their life in a small installment. Okay, I was reading about Dhoni, and Dhoni, one of the things somebody mentioned is that Dhoni does not plan to win the game. He only plans how many runs I will make in the next over. Okay, and then the next over, and the next over, and then he breaks the entire milestone into smaller milestones and achieves it. So, I mean, we all know that Dhoni is a success story from coming from a humble background, from a small town in a cricketing world which is always dominated by big names. So very great, good words, Mr. Godwin, and very nice for us to listen to us. Now I will move to Mr. Aman. So Aman, you, I mean, I envy you with the kind of accolades and the achievements you have. So let us hear from you. What do you think of all this going on? And what message the students should take? Given again, going back to my initial theme, technology changes, economy changes. So what do I do so that I remain relevant, I remain useful, and of course, immediate problem is how to get a job or how to do something which gives me the money.
Thank you, Professor Sanjeeva. And like Mr. Mehra, Mr. Sangwan, and Charles have already, shared tons of knowledge and strategies how we can work on. So I just have a slightly different perspective to this entire scenario, which I believe people might be focusing on, but it is not coming to our notice. So that is why I am trying to bring all of our attention to it, so that our focus should also be to this, because what happened with the pandemic has taught us a lot of things, and last few months have been really a roller coaster ride. So it's entirely on us how we have kept ourselves motivated, how we have kept ourselves happy. So I'll quickly share the screen with you, and so I guess so to ignite spark of interest amongst the students. So I'll not talk about management or technology. So I'll talk about some concepts of physics which we can apply to understand where this actual picture is going. So I just let me know, sir, if my screen is visible. Is it? Yeah, so don't worry, I have opened the right slide. So it looks like Delhi Metro Network. So when Industrial Revolution 4.0 came into existence, and when people start to hear about it, and when geniuses, organizations, consultancies, and larger corporations started to mind map, in the first go, it looked as complicated as this Delhi Metro route map looks, as complicated as this Delhi Metro route map looks to us. So, but over the time, the consultancies, corporations, like organizations like Amazon, Wipro, Infosys, TCS, and all the big fours, they've been working, really hard over the years, days and nights, into different time zones over the different continents to, simplify this for us. And even then, if we mind map the basic components that are associated into Industrial Revolution 4.0, is really challenging, and challenging in terms of what should we do. There's no static approach that everybody feels that they should go ahead. Some people think that they should go about the technology. People are wondering about the job challenges and other challenges that they're facing. However, there's a different approach, which I feel it will be more of a revolution of values. Not just technology, not just the transformation, it will be more associated with the values that we carry, with the values with which we see this particular revolution. So, right now, we are into the transition state from Industry 3.0, where we have practically seen, and we are more familiar with, Industry 3.4, where electronics and IT have been automating the further processes, be it automotive industry, be it food and beverages industry, and other industries, be it airline, aviation industry, telecom industry. But let us see. So assume that we are on a path, and we have certain projections for this Industry Revolution 4.0. So using the basic concept of projectile motion in physics, where you project the equation of trajectory, you know the distance traveled, you know the height it will attain, and you know the mass of the force. Assuming that, let's say it's a stone and you're throwing a stone to the other end, you know that the mass of the stone, you know the force that you're applying, and that is how you actually predict the things, where it will land, how much time it will take, and the distance it will travel. So similarly, in the similar concept, assume that we are almost halfway there to for the Industrial Revolution 4.0 to flourish. So usually it is the maximum height, but here we are assuming this as to be the high time for us to get prepared for the Industrial Revolution 4.0. So since it is the high time, so we have to work on the things that are going to happen next before it actually affects our life directly. So now, once it starts landing towards this, and it gets established as Industry 4.0, or we feel that it has taken its roots and it is flourishing well. So once we are into the Industry 4.0, so all the corporations, consultancies, tech companies, HR organizations, production companies, automotive industries, and so all the industries associated with this, they are preparing for this landing. Everybody is preparing for this landing, Industry 4.0. But my focus and the attention that I want all of you to draw towards is something slightly beyond. So whenever you throw a stone on a flat surface, it gets up with an impulse. And impulse is faced, and impulse exists, due to which it goes a step beyond. So immediately after the landing, there is another force experienced, which is known as the impact force or the force of impact. The impact of industrial revolution, the moment it enters, will create a lot of impulse on every industry, specifically the student community, the job sector, as well as the customer. So considering the same, this gives rise to a lot of trends that will be there after we are into the industry 4.0, like greater customer focus. You need to focus on your customer because you'll be having a lot of customer data. Efficiency, you have to increase the efficiency, you have to work on the process innovation, our research and development adjustment. So, and the industrial organizations are working a lot on their R&D, but there's on a ground level, on the institutional level, as well as on the startup level, there will be a lot of research and development adjustment that you require. Automation of inbound processes or logistics, new distribution channels. Talking about the global supply chain of certain organizations, you have to figure out new distribution channels, because so some organizations have already tested their drone deliveries. So how is that data will be mapped, and how will you build competencies to certain organizations? Working on the preventive maintenance in a country like us, where people don't get their car serviced on time. So how we are going to transform and convince the people to work on preventive maintenance, and whereas they do not even go towards the scheduled maintenance. Then more customer specific things that you have to build, smart data gathering and miniaturization of everything with the with 3D printing being introduced. You can do miracles which actually took years to do. So over the time, the pressure of the cost, like Mr. Sangwan has already said, the cost pressure, the emergency fund will increase over the time. And since the competencies are increasing, role of artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, like Mr. Mehra has said, that even if you do a Google search, AI algorithm is working on. And like I was attending one of the AWS summits last year. So I got to know that while we are shopping on Amazon, the code changes every 6.2 seconds. So, the shorter lead times, and over the time that duration might also reduce to maybe half of it or 1/4 of it. So, if you are trying to come up, if you want to bear the impulse successfully, you have to work on these trends that might. So this is all again an assumption, but these are the trends that I expect. One of the few of the major trends that will be there once we are into Industry 4.0. And until and unless we really work on the after effects of certain things, we might have to bear the repercussions. So I believe, the industry will be prepared, all of us will be prepared about the same, and the projections that we have are very precise and well projected. But still, you should never ignore, and it's good to be optimistic. So I'm not sharing a pessimistic view, but my view is entirely being realistic, so that we do not miss out anything that happens immediately after. So let's say, like I said, pandemic has already taught us a lot of things. So immediately the nation was shut due to the lockdown 1.0. So people were very, very confused. Not just confused, they were in a highly state of ambiguity to figure out how to take the life ahead. It was the question of existence now. So, we have to, we can prepare ourselves, we can never be ready, we agree on this fact, but there are certain aspects that we need to work on. So now, I believe, since we've been working in education for, not for so long, but yeah, for the time that we've been working in education, we have certain outcomes based on the current trends in the industry, and I believe Industry 4.0 will give rise to Education 4.0. The entire change in the dynamics of Education 4.0, which I don't really mean that the new education policy that we have. So education policy is just limited to our country, but if you see the global scenario, education sector will also reshape to cope up with the pace of Industry 4.0, reshape itself to match the standards and the expectations of the industry, the demand of technology. And for us, I believe if we talk about education, so it will get more personalized in terms of learning. Project-based learning will actually overpower, like Charles already mentioned that he did 12 internships. So I also have a similar story that I did a lot of internships in different sectors. Then I realized, what's my calling. So project-based learning will also help you take decisions. Then data interpretation. So we need to start learning, start understanding the data interpretation, data analysis at a very, very early age, because if we really don't do that, we are far in the race. And it's not a race, but it's a journey. So we should not slow down in the journey. Then time and space independent education, which again, we feel that we are teaching and learning online. It's a time and space independent education. However, there's a lot scope of improvement which we can have to make it time, space, and independent education. And like Sangwan said, that internet connectivity has issues in the country. But there are startups work, and we've been personally working on ways where if you have even a poorest case of connectivity, you can still get the resources. You can get the same amount of resources and the same quality of resources to study, even if you're learning remote in a time and space independent education. Then the learning flexibility. So learning flexibility needs to be there. So it doesn't mean that you are doing an MBA, but you cannot study for forensic sciences. You should be able to study forensic sciences. I have seen a lot of MBA students, but very few management graduates working towards medical HR. Doctors barely go for a medical HR. So, there should be learning flexibility, as well as it gives us a flexibility of thought that, we should be focused towards a particular genre, but, the scope of adding knowledge should not be limited. Then the guidance from our professors, mentors, like Mr. Mehra said that we should research for our professors. So guidance orientation should increase the more, and the importance of industry mentors, academic mentors, as well as the value mentors, like the human value mentors. They should have a more and more involvement in your life, so that it helps you, that their lifelong experience, like the gray hair that they turn due to their experience, should add values to you. Then continuous assessment, I believe it will be a major game player in the education 4.0, and thereafter, the curriculum with student participation. So even if we see any particular talk or a live session go on, students interact very less. We have to push students. We have to raise up a spark into their soul, so that they ask the question. So which should increase both way, from the institution side as well as from the student side, because it goes both ways. Learning is teaching and learning is a two-way process. You cannot learn without good teaching or innovative pedagogies, and you cannot teach without the student feedback. So it goes hand in hand. So I believe, and the focus. So Professor Sanjeeva asked me that what should be the focus of the students and how should they go ahead. So I believe the focus won't shift, but the focus will rename itself and reshape itself to some extent. So let's say the first thing will be Internet of Things or Industrial Internet of Things, which will have the technological aspect and the major focus of technology, because somehow or the other it will be interrelated to everything that is happening in the industry, be it IoT or be it IIoT or the cloud computing or the big data analytics. So, it seems to be different technologies, but we know that how each component of the technology is interrelated. Then thereafter it will be Internet of Data for businesses, like I just talked about short lead times. So Internet of data is something, it won't be just business analyst or data analyst or data scientist. It will be more about data-based jobs that will come up, because even if you are delivering through a drone, you'll know the time that is taking to travel, and if you have to deliver multiple orders and all those things, and how you can reduce the operational cost, like Mr. Sangwan mentioned. So Internet of Data will be the primary focus of businesses. And then the third step, Internet of Services, be it operations, be it productions, be it giving out your goods, be it your customer service, be it telecom sector, aviation sector. It will be more about Internet of Service, how you can connect internet services. So you have an urban app, you have an urban company app, you can ask a guy to service your refrigerator maybe, but there's no quantification of service. You know that an iPhone 10 is priced at 89,000 rupees, but there's no quantification of service. People negotiate in service, even to the auto walas, they still use Paytm, but we haven't stopped negotiating with them, even for 5 rupees or 10 rupees. That's the common mindset. So, Internet of Service will actually, I believe that Internet of Service will actually give a lot of push as well as energy to the service sector, so that they rise up, because goods have always been the primary focus of all the major organizations, but service, has been left somewhere behind, and we really need to push. So internet of service will be also one of the focus. And last, so I guess Charles, this is your forte, internet of people. So companies have started to recruit online. Companies are using AI based assessments, companies are using AI based psychometric analysis, but internet of people will actually empower. So I believe life will be much beyond social media. So in social media, I don't feel that it is all about internet of people. So internet of people can work in a hell lot of ways, because connecting human to human is actually getting simplified days by days. And by the time, I guess by the next 2 or 3 years, we might have an augmented reality setup wherein we can see the person's holographic projection in front of us on our camera. So that will actually empower the roles, and the traveling time will also reduce. And all in all, if we understand these four, I believe if we understand these four aspects well, we can actually save a lot of natural resources, because our time traveling, our fuel consumption, our paper consumption, etc., will come. So, education in 4.0 has a lot to offer to industry 4.0. And lastly, I'll say, this generation and the next needs mastery, not scores. So this is for you as well as for the generations to come ahead. Your juniors will be just joining. I guess they have joined you already. So, give this thought into their mind. You need mastery, not scores. Scores are important, but unless and until you are a yardstick of quality, you won't sustain for long. Then for the academic institutions and all the other stakeholders in the education ecosystem, we need to come up with innovative pedagogy. So we were working on an edtech product during this pandemic. We realized there are more than 150 ways of teaching and learning. And I really doubt that in most of the colleges, we even don't use 50, right? So, we are not even using the capabilities that already exist. But with the involvement of artificial intelligence and other technologies into the education ecosystem, the capabilities of learning and teaching can go really high and exponentially high. Then increase the pace of teaching and learning, because the time is less. So even if you have a lifespan of 100 years, that is too less to do a lot of things that humankind has to offer for the next generations. Then most importantly, moving mountains of education system. So we have to move this big mountain of education system to achieve the projected output that we've been working on the past few years, and for the years to come. To achieve that, we need to push it. We need to make a lot of changes. And lastly, I believe, so this is something I've been believing for long: preparedness versus readiness. Your mentors, your teachers will leave you prepared, but you will never be ready. And the best example to this is COVID. We had researchers, we had microbiologists, we had scientists, we had philanthropists, we had what technologists, we had what not. But still, it took us almost 8 to 10 months to reach halfway to find a vaccination or a drug for COVID. So, given the circumstances in life, and I guess Charles will totally agree with me on this, that you will always be prepared. You can prepare yourself for. So it's like you prepared for the exam, but there will be certain things that will be a surprising element to you in the exam. So preparedness versus readiness, you need to understand the difference. Though pandemic has actually taught us the difference between this, but we really need to keep our focus towards the readiness. If you want to become ready, you have to make yourself ready. You have to work on certain things. You have to think from a different dimension, so that you can you do not bear a shock out of it, and you can smoothly handle the things that you are not ready for. I guess Professor Sanjeev been trying to say something. So sorry to yeah, sir.
Yeah, I was just saying that we need some time for the question and answer also. So
I am done, sir. So I guess that is it from my end. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
right,
So
thank you.
sorry if I took so long.
No, not a problem. It's basically there's so much things for you to share, and I mean, obviously we can keep going on and on. So what I would like to do is that Taman has spoken extremely well, and he has covered a lot of grounds. As a matter of fact, a lot of things was eye opener to me. I mean, I'm an accidental academics, I must say. I joined after my corporate and IT career. But nonetheless, while we are trying out in BIMTech several new technologies, we have got an IoT lab, we are launching new courses, all our classes are online, we are using all the LMSs and AI and blah, blah. But still there is a lot to do, okay? We cannot say that, we are doing everything which nothing is required. So we'll spend some more time, Aman ji, with you to understand how the edtech features we can imbibe in our teaching and learning, and whatever your prescriptions are, we'll be very, very willing to adopt them. We already have a new center established for the online studies, which the mandate is to go to the online medium, to the off-campus students, especially working professionals with the short-term and long-term courses. So there definitely will be using the technology much more than the face-to-face discussion. So now we have got a list of questions, and Lokesh ji has been answering many of them. But let me just try to moderate here. That's the only job I have. So basically, one question from Sarvagya. He says that how will such a dynamic capabilities help Indian manufacturing unit which are highly labor intensive, where automation is considered an expense? Is that true? Maybe any one of you can pick up this question. Aman, you want to say about, do you think that manufacturing will adopt automation?
So yeah, manufacturing has, I believe in the industry 3.0, manufacturing has already adopted automation to some extent. But change is the only constant. So even if we talk about any industry, so it'll be new, but with an essence of old. There will be certain things. So it might change the way of job. It might change the job descriptions. But I believe it will give more rise to jobs than the existing. So even if it is automated, it requires a lot of manpower. I won't say labor, but yeah, manpower and human resource.
So
There was a question. Yeah.
So
Please.
Sanjeevaji, I will add on that Aman part. The physical automations already adopted by across the manufacturing units, you can say the manufacturing industry. But in terms of the robotic process automation, it's going to add on that one. So that key IT will is going to play a major role in terms of to make the robotic to automate the processes and eliminate the manual efforts. That is coming in the new era, we can say. That is.
There is one question.
Sorry, I
Please.
also just wanted to add on to what Ashok ji said, because RPA is anyway going to come in, but there's a very critical element which has got impacted due to the COVID, which is supply chain. And supply chain has got entirely disrupted with the port shut, flight shut. So the logistics has now changed overall. And people are not getting raw materials, so there's a shortage of that. Number two, factories have been shut down. So how do you manage that? And that is happening through diversification, where they're looking beyond China. So the overall aspect is that now people will do some innovation and jugaad in-house to come up with, their automation aspects, which may not be as clean as what you expect, but it is already happening.
Okay. So there is another question which is there, and I am not able to locate, but I read it through, where a student says that, look, we are all non-technical people studying MBA. Why are you guys pushing technology to us? How can we adopt this? So
it is like what happened in banks. Banks used to say that, technology is going to remove our jobs, but they coexisted. So I'm talking way back 91, 95 period where, banks were getting computerized. So irrespective of whatever job you may do as a student, you may go into finance, marketing, HR, retail, or whatever supply chain, technology is going to be there. It is now like you use a pen to write your paper. Technology is a tool that you will use. The only point is somewhere the technology will be higher, somewhere the technology would be lower, but you need to be a part of that. You cannot avoid it. So that's my humble suggestion.
Lokesh rightly said in terms of the banking. He given example of the past 90s. There was a threat to the employee of banking. They were thinking the technology will be implemented. Then there would be a job loss, and a lot of threat was there. But nothing happened, and it's helped a lot to all the employee of the banks. Because the understanding logically, you need to understand those kinds of technology that is must nowadays.
Okay, so that is one question. The second thing about which I am picking up here is that we are witnessing 4.0 already, where 100 smart cities are being created. And okay, now there's a comment basically. So there is one question from Bhumika Vishu. She's saying that escalation into non-store based retail format will increase many formats. So how will the industry 4.0 lend a helping hand to the asset management to these organizations, these retail companies?
I have responded to that, and
Okay.
I want to give an example of Amazon Go. So if you have not seen it, Amazon Go are stores where in the US it is contactless. Anybody can walk into the store using the app. You can pick up your stuff and it gets debited and you can go off. So asset management is an integral part of that entire store. Unless you don't have RFIDs and tags and anything of that sort, that whole store is a flop show. And back end, the entire aspect of the mechanism, financial transaction happens over the cloud, in which if you pick up a stuff, automatically gets debited from your account. So it is already there in place.
Okay. There was a specific question to Charles sir from one of the participants, that in the social media there is a lot of doctored profile, the fake profile. So how will it really project myself? I generally, my photograph in Aadhaar card is much different than what I put on social media with my pouted figure.
Just a supporting tool set. For example, if you look at today, now we are going back to our employee referral hiring, giving more importance to employee referral hiring. But in spite of all that, just wanted to see the connection in terms of what kind of person he is, what kind of people he or she is connected with, and just to give a glimpse about it. It's not completely going with whatever is available in social media, just to have an understanding about what kind of personality running through there. Just to be cautious. That's the key point, and to use wisely.
Okay. So finally, Pane, I think we are closely reaching to our 11:45 deadline. So here's a question from Vishal. Many of your questions we could not take up, so don't worry. We will answer them, or maybe we can send some to the panelists. So Vishal says that Industry 4.0 is expected to increase automation, which will replace a lot of jobs. What is the future ahead of this technology for a management student? That's what we have been discussing it for the last one hour. But nonetheless, what do you think the management students will be still relevant in this technology-led world, or the management education is not relevant now because it's only technology? Even we were told that some of the admissions in management schools have gone down and technical education have gone up. So what is your take on this? Lokesh?
Sir, I had talked about empathy, that the human sector needs to come in. So I was talking about the bank loan, and where I don't know why my loan has got rejected. So the human element will always remain there to show that, passion plus compassion. So both of these are very, very critical elements which will coexist with the machines. From a student perspective also, I will say that technology will always be just an enabler. It is not going to replace the human to a large extent. Everybody said that in COVID now online classes are happening, you don't need a faculty. Has that happened? No, it's not happened. It's just that possibly earlier it used to be 90% of the people used to have physical classes. Now it's reverse, where even after COVID, I feel 70% or 80% is going to go back to physical classes, and only about 20% they'll have a flipped classroom approach where you'll say, do these are on your own self-paced learning, etc. So the students should be prepared in terms of, accepting how technology is going to impact them. I think possibly the panel has got them confused, saying that technologies come and hey, whack, their job goes. That's not going to happen. Your jobs are very much there. They're very much intact. The only thing is, how do you interweave technology within your job? That is critical. And you should have that opportunity to fail, then adapt, stand up, and, grow. So that tenacity is required from your end. That's all what I would recommend.
Charles, would you like to add anything about this job potential in the technical world?
Yes, sir. No, as Mr. Lokesh, clearly mentioned. No, just to take, students can take an example of how auto rickshaw guy has adapted to smartphone, how Ola guys have adapted to smartphone, how Swiggy guys have adapted to smartphone, or maybe how first standard kid has adapted to a technology virtual classroom. So for management students, I strongly believe that it's not completely getting into technology, but whatever to a reasonable extent in terms of what is required. That's very very important. For their respective domain.
Ashok ji or Aman, what is your take? Is management education is still relevant in the technology world?
Sir, it was relevant, it is relevant, and it will stay relevant for the decades, centuries, and the millenniums to come.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So Ashok ji, what is your
Yes,
take?
these management students or the management people are very much required, and we cannot say due to technology entire the manpower will be eliminated. No, we can say in terms of the bare minimum, the repetitive task can be eliminated through the technology, or it's an enabler. Lokesh ji clearly told it's an enabler. Technology is an enabler, and we should see in terms of the enabler point of view only, and there would be no impact in terms of the job point of view. The people are very much required to develop the technology itself. Yeah.
Okay, so I know I have to sort of manage the time. So finally, before thanking all of you, the thought which comes to my mind is I'm picking up from our keynote speaker during our commencement day, Dr. Santrip Mishra, the director in the Birla Group. And he pointed out that BIMTech is in a unique position. BIMTech is among the few institutions where it is said Institute of Management Technology. So your management and technology has to be together. So just marketing specialization may not help. You have to say marketing and technology. Something similar happened 2 days back when some of our senior directors and the board members, they mentioned the same thing, and I hear the same words getting echoed from our panelist here, because I need to know the quickest path to reach out to my destination. Now I know which car or which vehicle I should select. I don't know how to manufacture them. So technology is all about it. If I'm a logistic manager in retail, I should know whether I should send a guy or a drone or a truck. Okay, so that is the knowledge of technology is required. So I wanted to personally thank each one of you for your time, and let me tell you on behalf of the participants that the most valuable thing which our panelist has given to us is their personal time. On a Saturday when they could be with their family, they have taken their time off and they have spent their pearls of wisdom with us. So with folded hand, I am thanking all of you, and then would invite you for another session whenever convenient. Our Center of Online Education, which is have a focus on the technology, is coming into shape now. We will seek more advice to you. And back to Rupali ma'am, in the finally, any final words from your end or from the CCR team?
Well, sir, thank you so much. It was a pleasure listening to all the panelists today. And rightly said by the panelist members and by Dubey sir to all the students that you need to have a composite knowledge. It's not that if you're doing a marketing specialization, you only need to know marketing. You definitely need to know finance and operations, otherwise your marketing is zero in the company. So similarly, the panelist mentioned that you need to have the knowledge of technology in order to be able to be success in any business that you join. So thank you so much with these words. Like Dubey sir mentioned, I personally want to thank all the panelists. It was great listening to you, and thank you for your time, sir. Thank you so much from
Right.
all of us here at BIMTech. Thank you
Thank
so
you
Right.
so
much.
very much
Namaskar. Thank you.
for
Thank you very much.
showing this off.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.